The IQ is one thing that people want to improve each and every single day, but we fail and leave out many times emotional intelligence. And now to help me break down what exactly emotional intelligence is, right here in studio is Liz Ndabi, who is a counselor.
Thank you.
Welcome. It has been a long time, but here we are.
Sure.
And let's have this conversation. Let's talk about intelligence.
Yes.
Even before we break it down to now emotional intelligence, you know, this intelligence is ability to know things and to be skilled.
Yes.
Which is a good thing.
True.
So maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, how intelligent should people be?
Thanks, Nancy, even for the invitation. I really appreciate it. And for our viewers, we need to really first understand, because you have talked about two things,
Right.
Emotional intelligence and IQ.
Right.
We always, confuse the two. And that's where people, I think, get lost. Because we have the IQ, which is the measure of your ability to make decisions. That is how you measure maybe a child, the ability of a child to pass exams. The ability of a child even to read, how far or how wide a student can read. But now we have the emotional intelligence, which is the ability to understand yourself. You see, you understand your emotions, you understand who you are, you understand this is how far my temper goes and how to manage that so that you're able to manage stress. That is emotional intelligence.
Right.
And how to manage other people. You understand yourself and you understand other people so that you're able to manage your tempers, your stress, and also be able to manage other people. But now we have the IQ, is just the measure of your ability to, to control yourself. So I think it's important for people to have the skill of emotional intelligence. Then you can now do the measure of how far you can go. Okay. But we always confuse the two, and that's why we are here to make the difference and make our people understand.
To debunk all that.
Yes.
And so, Liz, from what you're saying, it's not enough to to be the best student in class, meaning that then my IQ level is high.
Yes.
So isn't that supposed to be enough? Just the fact that I can get high scores?
Most of the times, and I can refer to my clients, many clients I've received in my office,
right,
are students who have been referred because they're doing so well in class, but they don't have the skill of emotional intelligence. They are not able to control their emotions. They are not able to, control their tempers. So you not only want to have the IQ, maybe for the students, they also have to have the skill of the emotional intelligence.
Right.
Because most of the time is when you find, and maybe our campus students, they're doing so well, but when it comes to rioting in town, they are, in the first rows. You find them in Nairobi at night, our girls. So you find there is somewhere that we don't have the balance.
So there's a gap somewhere.
There is a gap somewhere, okay, because we have failed at some point to equip our students, to equip our people with emotional intelligence skills. Because that is where you find that you're able now to balance. I'm able to control my tempers. I'm able to measure my IQ with whatever I'm doing. But you always find somebody is on the extreme end of IQ. But when you come to emotional intelligence, they're not able to balance their emotions. They're not able to manage their tempers. And that is why you find some cases of students who have been punished in school, but when they go home, they hang themselves. They kill themselves. Right. Because they're not understanding how can the teacher punish me. Instead of now, taking that punishment, be able to control it, know that you're being corrected, do it, finish, and go back to class. But they're not able to do that because we're lacking that skill of emotional intelligence.
Right. So, and the way we have grown up, a lot of us, that is, emotional intelligence is not something that has been talked about.
Yes.
all I could say, like for example of my life,
Yes.
is being a good performer in school. That was of essence.
Yes.
That like those what parents demanded.
Yes.
Like you have to be a good student.
Yes.
What are your strengths?
Yes.
What are your weaknesses? Can you get a tutor to help you with the areas that you're weak
Yes.
at? But not much about emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And so now people are only starting to understand
Yes.
what emotional intelligence is. And now that we know it's important, so how do we put it in our normal curriculum, or however way kids are growing up these days?
Thank you. I grew, maybe like you, there was nothing like emotional intelligence. Nobody taught me about how to manage my emotions, but I was taught on how to get a good grade, on how to choose the best university, or, you know, on all those.
Right.
But at the moment, we are working with my senior counselors and psychologists to make sure that the skills are, you know, are now given to students. That's why we have forums in universities. We have forums in secondary schools and even in primary schools, so that we can impact that skill to that child. And you cannot do it also as a counselor or a psychologist without understanding yourself. Remember, you're dealing with different categories of people. And that's why you find also maybe for people who are killing each other in relationships, because there is no emotional intelligence in our relationships, in our, you know, in our love, around our love, whatever, you know, for men, for young men and ladies. And even you find that a spouse can kill the other spouse. You know, a wife can kill her husband and doesn't feel like you have done something because she was not able, or he was not able, to control their emotions. They have not understood themselves, and that's why we are working so hard to make sure that we also have these forums like what we have done today.
Right.
And we are looking forward to other, you know, other media houses that can allow us to teach about emotional intelligence, and if possible have people come and understand. And then I always say to our young people that before you get married, just go to a premarital class, because there we have you know, we have the program, and emotional intelligence is one of the units that you cover, so that you are able to understand yourself, understand your spouse, so that by the time you get to marriage, you are able to understand their person. You're able to understand when they get mad, what do they do? Or they also understand themselves. When I get mad, what can I do? So we are working so hard, Nancy, to get to our people and even to the community,
right,
to make sure that people understand themselves.
And there are people within our friends, our family members, that people say, I'm hot-tempered, short-tempered. And, you know, one small thing and I'm going to pop off, I'm going to erupt.
Yes.
So there are very many different temperaments.
Yes.
So for people who are short-tempered, would you say that they're less emotional intelligent?
The only thing that they don't have is that now ability to understand themselves. Because once they understand themselves, they are able now to know how to manage the temper. So if you are short-tempered, you are able to know there's that small thing that triggers my temper. I know how to control it. Actually, the elephant in the house is only that we do not know. We do not understand ourselves.
Right.
And once we understand ourselves, once you know this is who I am, you are able now to know how far do I go, what should I do. If I'm short-tempered, once something triggers me, what should I do? I should walk away. I should just get out of the house, just take a short round and then come back. But do that person know, first of all? That's why we are creating awareness that people should know or even understand themselves. Once you do that, even those very small things that trigger your temper, you're able to detect them way before they happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And growing up in schools again, there was the smartest in class was more often the prefect or the monitor or any other responsibilities that the teacher will give them.
Yes.
But then in some instances you found that these people, they were not the most relatable, and many people would not exactly say these are leaders. So maybe would you say there was a breakdown in terms of now giving people the right positions?
Right. Actually, even our teachers, when maybe they're selecting their leaders, the prefects, they also don't, maybe they have not gone through emotional intelligence. And so they're not able to even tell who is a leader without looking at those students who are performing so well. Because I told you when we are beginning that you can have a student who is doing so well in class, but is not able to manage their emotions. So definitely, how will he or she be able to manage the class? And you have like a 40 students class, and you have this leader who's a prefect who does not understand herself or himself, and the responsibility is to manage these other people who also do not understand themselves. So I think the initiative of creating this awareness of making our society, everyone included, including our teachers, to understand themselves first, because one of the key areas of a strong leader is emotional intelligence. And that is why you find even in our government, in our society, you have people who we have elected, but that skill of emotional intelligence, they are not able to manage themselves. You find them fighting in parliament, and it is a whole MP who is fighting. So you wonder, what is wrong? We have given you a responsibility, a leadership role where everybody is looking at you, including our young children. But now you're not able to manage yourself. And that's why we are, as I said, even as we have those forums that for our leaders, where they go for, for introductions and all that, whatever they do, we incorporate emotional intelligence as a unit so that they can be able to understand themselves first, know how to manage themselves so that they can be able to manage other people.
So you think that should be part of their orientation?
Actually,
before they get into office?
Actually, that should be. Starting from our president, so that we are able to, he's able to manage his people, and they are able to manage the people who are under them in their constituencies, even our teachers, even our defense forces. Actually, I'm really looking forward for this program to go to our defense forces, because that is where again we have problems, because they are triggered by small things. They have pressure, they have stress. The work is overwhelming, and so they're not able to manage themselves. And that's why you can see a policeman shoot his friends and also shoot himself. He's not able to manage himself. And so definitely what he will do is to just kill and eliminate everybody else. So it's a very key, a very key skill that everybody should have.
And in the case of an organization, then still boils down to leadership. Then because there's need for a very rational leader, understanding, reliable, all these values. And so how can, say, an organization make sure that that is in line? And what benefits will that have?
Okay. For an organization, we can, you already have maybe some staff who are already employed. The organization can work hard and, have an in-house training for the employees to be trained on emotional intelligence, on how to manage themselves. And for when you are recruiting, at the recruiting level, an organization can conduct a test on emotional intelligence to know what kind of an employee you're working with, because that is where sometimes we fail. We just look at the papers and somebody is qualified, they have a PhD, they have a master's, but how are they able to manage themselves and also manage the other people? The benefits of emotional intelligence: once you understand yourself as an employee, as a leader, you're able to have good teamwork. Like, for example, in a workplace, you're able to have teamwork. I always say that to have success is one of the key skills is emotional intelligence to be successful, both at workplace, in school, at home, in church, wherever you are. As long as you're able to manage yourself, you are able to manage other people.
Right.
But you see, we have different people in organizations who come with different issues from wherever they're coming from. They're not able to manage themselves. And something triggers them at work. And you find somebody, you know, abusing the other person or even fighting because they're not able to do that. But if we can have, you know, a strategy, either when you're recruiting or an in-house training for emotional intelligence.
Right. And one of the ways, conflict resolution in many places, and in Kenya,
yes,
to be specific, and in different organizations, then one way to resolve conflict is by people coming together and say, I forgive you, I forgive you. And, you know, we just have to be at peace because you're working together. But you see, that does not really then address the issue. So would you say then our conflict resolution methods, they need some work?
Yes, especially the person who is conducting, maybe we can call them mediators between the two parties, maybe should have counseling skills, because they are able to understand each one of the parties. There's something we call underlying issues.
Right.
Maybe understand each party's underlying issue that is causing the conflict. Because you might find the conflict at work was brought just because a lady or the man fought the wife at home and now brought that at work.
Right.
Nobody knows about it, but something triggers them, and now they get angry, they react, you know, and there is a conflict just from nowhere. So maybe the mediator should have a skill to understand those underlying issues before even you bring them together. Understand, why is this happening? Why is this person so angry? It might not, and when you look at the problem, maybe it's so small, but there might be an underlying issue that is now bringing the conflict from this person, wherever they're coming from, home and family and all those issues. And maybe someone walked to work and they're so angry, they're like, you don't even understand what I'm going through. Maybe somebody slept hungry, but you cannot tell everyone. But now that brings the conflict at work, and that's where you should now understand each party's underlying issue before you bring them together.
Okay, and for many people, then how they have been socialized, again, contributes to how they handle different issues.
Yes.
And we have all been brought up very differently.
Yes.
Some people maybe more emotionally intelligent than others, just depending on which families we grew up in. So for the people who are maybe not so lucky, then what is the right step towards now improving their emotional intelligence?
Maybe we can look at 2 or 3. One, they need their own initiative. Maybe they can look for a counselor to take them through that skill, to learn it, because we said it's the ability to, and it is a skill that you can be able to learn.
Right.
Once you've taken through a therapy and you understand yourself, you can be able to do that. So they can initiate it by looking for a counselor. 2, as we have said, in the working place, in corporate world, we can have those strategies, a plan. When you're doing the budget, you can plan it, to have a training, an in-house training for the employees, to be trained on emotional intelligence, on conflict management at work. 3, as I said, we can also have it as a program in our schools, in our universities, so that we can be able to take through these young men and women before they get to the world, to understand themselves, so that when they get to the world, they are able to understand other people, and they are able to manage themselves and manage other people. Yeah.
Right. And so then these people have to undergo a certain program.
Yes, yes.
For them now to be more emotionally intelligent.
Yes.
And there have been some instances where some people could need more help.
Yes.
You know, maybe very damaged backgrounds. They could have gone through abuse. Abuse, could be even sexual abuse. Then it would be harder for some people to deal with the issues than other normal people.
True.
So would you say then they need special attention?
Absolutely, because that is something that needs attention, something that needs to be addressed, because it's already affecting them. And as we said, it is an underlying issue. Nobody knows. Maybe somebody maybe was raped when they were young.
Right.
They have kept that to themselves. They have now been employed, or even they have been married now. But they're not, when now that issue comes back to the mind, they react differently to very small triggers in life. You find that a wife who is married to the husband maybe was raped when they were young. So whenever there is a small conflict, they always fight back. Because remember, it is the same kind of a man who raped her.
Right.
So she's not even fighting the husband. She's fighting the man who raped her. But now it is an issue that she cannot share with anyone. So that's why I'm saying that we need our own initiative to have them taken through therapy by a counselor, so that they can understand themselves. They can now vent whatever happened, so that they get help. And from there, they're able now to manage themselves, because that is where the problem is. Once you have a problem and it is not addressed, you're not able to manage it. But when they come, and that's why I call upon our counselors, my colleagues, to offer this help to our people, right, so that they can be able to manage themselves. So that, because most of our people, as you say, they come from backgrounds that didn't have so much to deal with on emotional intelligence. The issue was only food. You are able to eat, you're able to sleep well, able to go to school. Other issues, utafundishwa na dunia.
Right.
So now when it comes now to the world is a bit harsh, and nobody cares about you, so you always see like people are against you. So that's why I'm calling people and our society to just come out and get help. Because I was, Nancy, if you can allow me, I was looking at the issues that we are seeing on media, that somebody killed the husband. How? You know, there must be something underlying that we don't know. And one of these things that is underlying, or that issue, is maybe depression. Somebody is depressed, but right, nobody knows. Nobody knows that they are going through depression. But there's depression, and when there's an action, that is when we say, oh, maybe they're going through depression. And maybe they had maybe written something on social media, but everybody is like, wait, just control yourself. But they need help. That is, they're trying to talk, but they're being suppressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. There are also some other instances where people have fallen ill,
yeah, or
even maybe involved in an accident, mm-hmm, even brain damage. So that can affect from the IQ and definitely even just the emotions,
yes,
as well.
Yes.
So again, in such a circumstance,
yes,
what's the right steps to take?
Number one, they should, maybe from when they get medical assistance, right, they're able to be taken through therapy as well by counselors, because now that, and it's a long process, especially for people who have damaged brain, and you know, they have been affected emotionally, and maybe you're starting now again to teach them on how to live, because maybe something happened and there was a closure on that life, and so they're starting another life. So the process is they get medical attention. Once the doctor is done, they are referred to a therapist or counselors who take them through now the stages of healing, right, emotionally. You know, they have to understand, and they have to be taken through and accept that that the accident happened. And after it happened, the damage was done. Right. And once it was done, we have hope that you can also recover. It takes you back even to going to where the accident took place. Even maybe where the car was, maybe in the police station, you go and make sure that they see the car that they had. This was your car. It was you had an accident, and it was. This is what remained, but you have an opportunity to recover again. So it is a long process, right, but it is doable. We have done it before. People have recovered. Others who have maybe not 100%, but at least we have 95%.
Right.
Yeah.
And looking at our leaders, even, yes, with the current Cabinet Secretary's vetting that is ongoing in Parliament, then one of the questions that the committee is raising is for the different leaders. They've said, you know, their tongue has been a little loose in the past. And so then, given a big docket, then you see that is a point of concern. So what would your advice be to different leaders who are looking now to streamline, you know, their emotions even more as they address people, because you see that is the only way people are going to trust you with a very big docket?
I have been watching and listening to the questions and even the answering of the nominees, and for sure we can say that we lack that skill in most of them, because the answering of the question is using emotions. So they are not able to express themselves fully, meaning they are not able, the emotional intelligence skill is a bit low. My advice to them, and maybe to Kenya School of Government, where they go for their orientation and maybe for their training, is to have that program on emotional intelligence on our leaders, because they're dealing with people who are going through many issues, and especially now that the economy is so bad. You know, everybody's, they wake up in the morning, you're so mad, you don't know why you're mad, you know, and it's only because whatever you had is not enough. Maybe the money you had is finished and you need to go to work and you don't have the money. And now we have a leader who is now not able to manage himself or herself, and is supposed to manage me, who is now getting angry because of very small things. So my advice to the government is to make sure that our leaders, all the way from the top to the bottom, that we have that program you know, enrolled in Kenya School of Government and other institutions, making sure that our leaders get to go through that training. And also go through therapy, because you find most of them are going through issues, underlying issues, as I have always said.
Even loss of their children, partners.
But now he's a leader, and and we are expecting him to perform. So what will he do? He is going to just to pretend. But when he's triggered, just a little bit, then you know, they overreact. That's why you find them fighting and even abusing each other, and somebody, you know, says something and you're like, hey, that should not come from a leader. So they need to be taken through the program, through the therapy, so that they can also heal emotionally, so that they can be able to lead other people.
And for men, Liz, now this is very interesting. I think if I didn't ask this, then I'd be in trouble. For a lot of men, anytime they express an emotion, they're told, stop behaving like a woman. So it's like being emotional or showing emotions in any way is woman-like. And so men, you know, they're sort of, they're objects. You know, they don't have a life, so they're not supposed to show emotions. What are your thoughts on that?
Actually, I mean, the planning of a campaign for the boy child, because as you said, when they express themselves, they are like told that's for women. There's a narrative that men don't cry, and when you cry, people are like, eh, that should not come from a man. And I want to maybe to talk to our men, those who can see me, those who can hear me, that whenever you have an issue, it's always good to talk. And we want to maybe correct a narrative that has been, that it is a man-to-man talk, you know. Yes, we should have a man-to-man talk, but when you're going through an emotion, a problem, you have a problem with your emotions, you have issues that are going through your life, should not only be talked to a man. You can find a friend who is a woman. You can find a therapist. You can find a counselor who is a woman, and you can talk to them so that they can be able to help you. But you find most of our men, all the way from when they are being brought up when they are young, they are told, no, a man should now hold on. You should, you know, handle your issues. And we have seen many of them are dying. And they die because they have issues, they cannot be able to express them. And you find most of the, and this is very sad, that most of our defense forces are men. And they're the ones who die. Very few cases of women who are in the defense forces you know, die through very funny issues, but we find our men going through issues. Remember, their work is so hard, you know. They are exposed to danger and death every day, but now they hold on. They don't know what to do. They're not able to talk, and that's why I'm in the plan of a campaign for the boy child. Right. Come out and talk. Don't fear that people will, you know, laugh at you. You'll be a laughing stock. Come out and talk your issues so that you are able to be helped. And we have maybe a case that we had some time back, maybe a week ago, the man who was killed by the wife. And when I listened to the mother was like, she said, we have never heard him complaining of anything. You know, we knew they are a happy family, but how comes now he's now dead?
Because it just can't come from nowhere.
It can't just come from a night and you're dead and you're killed. Right. No, there must have been something going